and welcome to Novis, or welcome back if you've been here before. My name is Amanda, and on this channel we discuss anything and everything strange. Today we are going to explore the nature of dreams and a very strange phenomena that some people experience, which suggests that how we experience the world around us can change how we dream for our whole lives. If you have any suggestions for other topics you'd like to see me discuss, please comment them below or fill out the suggestion form that I've linked in the description box. I'm also starting a new weekly poll where I choose a few topics and then you all can vote on which one we discuss next. These polls will be posted on Saturdays on my Novis Facebook page and also in the comments of my video for that week. The poll will be open for a whole week and will be closing the following Saturday when the new video goes live. In order to give you all plenty of time to vote, the polls will be for videos 2 weeks in advance. The expected release date for the video of each poll will be in the description of the poll, so check there if you're unsure which week it's for. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, share the video, all that jazz. Just like last week, this video will not have a warning as nothing explicit will be discussed. Without further ado, let's get into today's topic. A dream can be described as a succession of sensations, emotions, ideas, and images that occur involuntarily in a person's mind during certain stages of sleep. Throughout the millennia, humans around the world have been trying to understand dreams. Why do we have them? What do they mean? Are all dreams equal? And does everyone have them? The earliest written histories of dreams date back to at least 3,000 to 4,000 BC when the Mesopotamians carved their dreams into clay tablets. One of the most famous examples of these dream tablets is the ancient Mesopotamian Odyssey about Gilgamesh, the king of the city-state called Uruk. Commonly called the Epic of Gilgamesh, this great journey was carved into the clay in the ancient Akkadian language and covers 12 tablets that were not rediscovered until the mid-19th century. Unfortunately, these 12 tablets do not give us the full story, as an unknown number of tablets are still missing. Over the years, small fragments of other tablets, as well as other poems about Gilgamesh, have been discovered and have allowed historians to fill in some blanks. The very abbreviated version of this story is as follows. Gilgamesh the king was part man and part god. He ruled over his people with an iron fist, and in return they prayed to God for something to be done to end his extreme rule. A wild man named Enkidu, who lived among animals, eventually makes his way to Gilgamesh. They both participate in a trial of strength which Gilgamesh wins. The two then set off on a journey together, however the rest of the journey is on the missing tablets. When the story picks back up, Gilgamesh refuses a marriage proposal from the goddess of love, and with the wild man's help they defeat the divine bull she sends to kill him. Enkidu falls ill and dreams of the house of dust that awaits him when he passes. Gilgamesh mourned for his friend and the funeral is described. Gilgamesh goes on another journey to find the survivor of the Babylonian flood. When he finds this person, he is given a plant which allows him to live forever. However, a serpent eats it and Gilgamesh returns to his home still mortal. The spirit of Enkidu returns and promises to help Gilgamesh and reports that the underworld is not a good place to be. Most historians and philologists have interpreted this story to mean that Gilgamesh turned his back on friends and family and wasted his time and energy trying to find something that he can never have, immortality. This odyssey is a cautionary tale to say, death is inevitable and trying to escape the inevitable only wastes the limited time we have in this life. However, the important part for our video today is that during the epic, dreams are consistently used to convene with the divine and those that have already passed on from this world. They also give Gilgamesh and Enkidu a glimpse of the future and contain many strange images that are symbolic of people and events in the waking world. Finally, since dreams are used to speak to the gods and to the spiritual world, it is believed that holy men, such as kings and religious leaders, are the ones that can best understand and interpret these dreams. These beliefs would continue for thousands of years and still persist today. Many people still believe that there has to be something more to those strange unconscious pictures that we see in our sleep. So much so that we use the term dream to not only represent our unconscious state, but also to describe the pinnacle of our aspirations in our lives. There's even a whole field of scientific study called oneirology, meaning the study of dreams in Greek, dedicated to studying this phenomena. Okay, so we know what the basic religious meaning of these dreams are, but what do scientists have to say? Well, they aren't really sure either, and those that are sure disagree with others. Many have an idea, and there has been some amount of discovery through experimentation and data collection, but there isn't a firm consensus. For example, the famous and well-known psychologists Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung disagreed so strongly about this topic that it actually ended their friendship. In the past, studying dreams was difficult. After all, your subject is unconscious during the time that you want to study, and then you have to rely solely on their description of what happened. Many scientists use sleep journals where the subjects record their dreams immediately after each period of sleep. However, in recent years, scientists have begun using the improvements in technology to their advantage, using brain scans and other technology to track brain functions, body movements, and things like pulse and blood pressure. Scientists have learned much more about sleep in general, and thus they are able to try and hypothesize what dreams mean. With that said, here are the basics of what we know and understand about sleep and dreams now. There are 4 main types of sleep: awake, light sleep, deep sleep, and REM sleep, or rapid eye movement sleep. When you are considered awake, you make large physical movements that temporarily increase your heart rate. Subjects may or may not remember this time, but it usually only lasts for a few moments before you fall back asleep. Light sleep is the stage where you spend most of your time, as it prepares you for deep sleep and then you return to it in between each cycle of sleep. Deep sleep is very important, as this is the phase where your body and mind recover and strengthen themselves. If you are awoken during this stage, you are likely to feel some confusion and grogginess. Finally, there is REM sleep. As the name implies, your eyes generally dart back and forth during this stage for the most of the time. This is also the stage where your brain is most active on scans. Your heart rate and breathing also increase. REM sleep is the stage where most, but not all, dreams occur. During REM sleep, powerful nerve pathways in your brain temporarily paralyze the muscles in your arms and legs to prevent you from physically acting out the movements your brain is dreaming about. People in REM sleep may stay completely still or may twitch or involuntarily move body parts very slightly. When a person has problems with these pathways and the muscles are not paralyzed, they can experience things like sleepwalking, sleep eating, or any other activity one may dream about, if you know what I mean. Alternatively, if the person has problems with the pathways and the paralysis doesn't end when you leave REM sleep, the person may actually become mentally conscious but still physically paralyzed. This is called sleep paralysis, and it can happen both when you're falling asleep and when you're waking up. Scientists have discovered that during REM sleep, your brain goes through a process called synaptic efficacy refreshment. This is where your brain cycles through old and new memories, then moves and consolidates them from short-term memory into long-term memory. You may have experienced this if you ever played a sport or a video game for many hours, and then you dream about playing that night. Your brain is actually going through your short-term memory, which has limited space, consolidating your memories perhaps by what worked and what didn't, and then it moves those memories into long-term storage, which can hold much more information. Then, the next time you play, your brain will pull up those memories and will allow you to learn from your mistakes and improve your skills. Interestingly, these dreams may feel as though they last for hours. However, the duration of a REM sleep cycle is only about 10 minutes. Sometimes as much as an hour depending on the person, but usually it's shorter. I know I'm a big nerd, but this is crazy to me. Our brains are so amazing and powerful that we can recall and play out an entire day's worth of memories, sort them, and then clear out our short-term memory in just a few minutes. Anyway, your brain doesn't just learn skills and sort through daily memories. It can also help you practice for upcoming events that you're stressed about, such as job interviews or performances. They can help you work through emotionally charged memories such as past trauma, and they can help you communicate with loved ones who have passed. Whether you are actually speaking to their spirit, or maybe you're just replaying a memory from the past, this generally helps make people feel better and may help you better cope with your grief. Children have shorter but more frequent cycles of REM sleep, likely because they are learning and absorbing so much more new information per day. However, this also means that they experience more cycles of dreaming, which means they have more chances of experiencing nightmare-type dreams. Okay, so this all sounds like a creative way that nature came up with to help us use our brains more efficiently. But is that it? Are we at the mercy of nature when we dream? Or can we influence how and what we dream about? It turns out we can. In one type of dream called lucid dreams, the person actually becomes aware that they are in a dream and then can do things as they please as if they were awake. Furthermore, our surroundings and thought processes right before we fall asleep can actually change what we dream about. In one study, 15 sleepers were asked to suppress an unwanted thought for 5 minutes right before they fell asleep. The results showed that the subjects asked to suppress the thought had higher rates of dreaming about the thought, and they tend to have more distressing dreams in general. Moreover, exposure to a positive external stimulus such as a flower resulted in much more positively themed dreams than exposure to a negative external stimulus such as rotten eggs, which resulted in more negatively themed dreams. This just shows that how we perceive the world around us and what our senses show us can affect how we dream. By the 1940s and 50s, young research subjects at various universities across the nation were reporting dreams in black and white. In some cases, between 70 and 80% of subjects reported never dreaming in color. This led to researchers believing that everyone dreamed in black and white and that dreaming in color was relatively rare. However, later studies such as one in the early 2000s that used university-age research subjects as well came up with different results. Many more people in this study reported that they dreamt in color rather than black and white. This led researchers to the hypothesis that perhaps the media we are exposed to, especially when we are children, can affect how we dream. They believed that because earlier subjects grew up while media was black and white rather than color, they would be more likely to dream in grayscale. To test this, they redid the study, this time asking 2 groups of subjects, one under 25 and one over 55, how they dreamed. The results showed that subjects under 25 only dreamt in black and white about 4.4% of the time, and some subjects over 55 who had access to colored TV when they were children dreamt in black and white 7.3% of the time. However, those over 55 who only had access to black and white TV dreamt in black and white about 25% of the time, regardless of their current access to colored TV. It seems that rather than being a simple correlation between watching black and white TV and dreaming in black and white, the relationship is a little bit more roundabout. It turns out that dreams are actually relatively vague. When 320 adult research subjects were asked how they identified people in their dreams, nearly half stated that they just knew, meaning the dreamers did not actually see the person, but rather they were aware of the feeling of their presence and thus attributed the presence to a specific person in their real life based on how they felt around that person. Similarly, it shows that we actually don't dream in color or black and white. However, there seems to be a critical period during childhood in which the kind of media we are exposed to imprints our minds and affects how we interpret and perceive our dreams for the rest of our lives. However, more research is needed in the field of oneirology for us to draw any firm conclusions about this phenomena. We are now entering the time where I give my personal thoughts on the subject. I personally have a very hard time actually imagining or picturing people's faces, even those I see all day long, such as my fiancé, so I can definitely relate to the subjects who claimed they just knew who the person in their dream was. Much like envisioning people's faces, the rest of my dreams are also pretty shrouded and ambiguous, meaning I don't think I actually see pictures, so I probably couldn't tell you whether or not I dream in color. For a time reference, I grew up in the late 90s and early 2000s and didn't watch many shows or movies that were in grayscale other than probably Wizard of Oz, but that was only part of the movie, so I'm not sure how that affected me. But again, I just kind of know what is happening in my dreams regardless of if I truly see it or not. What I can say is that my experiences as a child definitely affected my dreaming. For example, my first week of kindergarten was when the terrorist attacks on the World Trade Center towers took place on 9/11/2001. I live in New York State, and many police and firefighters from my local area went to New York City to help with recovery and cleanup efforts. Not to mention that my mother and her family are from New York City, and I still have relatives that live down there. In fact, my Nana actually worked very close to the World Trade Centers and frequently was in those buildings when she was working there. Many people say that this tragedy hit home for the whole nation regardless of where you lived. However, as a very small child with close connections to the area, this tragedy really affected my development. It is one of my first memories, and I have been reminded about it year after year since then. This led to me having a recurring dream as a child of being stuck in the towers. I was in the dark, unable to breathe, and in the blistering heat. It doesn't happen often now, but I do still occasionally have this dream as an adult in my mid-20s. I share this to say that just like our waking development, exposure to various things such as trauma do in fact change our dream development. And this epidemic of black and white dreams just goes to show that even the smallest detail in our early lives can have lasting effects. I don't have any kids of my own, but I have had the privilege of being exposed to kids shows that are currently running when I've been babysitting for my friends. Kids shows today are usually extremely vibrant and can sometimes even be overstimulating. Some parents have developed concerns about their children's behavior after watching some of the most popular TV shows, including the top-rated Netflix show where scenes only last 1 to 2 seconds, the camera angle of the scene is always moving, there is singing with quick-moving subtitles that children can't even read, there's dancing, background noise, sound effects, and even a baby crying, all happening at the same time. Another popular show like this is a real-life show on YouTube, where the host wears bright colors, his dances are sped up, there's lots of vibrant scenes, and the background noise is added throughout each episode. I am not naming these episodes and shows because I don't want to, risk getting sued or anything like that, but I think you guys that have kids especially know what I'm talking about. As an adult, I can only handle being exposed to this level of stimulation for maybe an episode or so, but some kids watch these all day long with little to no self-stimulation away from the TV. On the other hand, slow educational shows such as Mr. Rogers or Sesame Street have shown that they are beneficial to development when watched for only a few hours per day. Some more current shows in this category are Bug Diaries, Stella and Sam, and Bluey, which is my personal favorite. These shows should also be watched in moderation though. In fact, research suggests that children under 2 should not watch TV at all, and children over 2 years old should only watch up to 2 hours per day. In one study, it was found that 5-year-olds who watch TV for 2 or more hours per day are 5 times more likely to exhibit symptoms of ADHD, including hyperactivity and distractibility, when compared to 5-year-olds who were exposed to screens for 30 minutes or less per day. Studies have shown that extended screen time, especially watching overstimulating media, affects the frontal lobe, similar to what we see in heavy cocaine users. The frontal lobe is the largest lobe of the brain and controls many vital behavioral aspects such as memory, judgment, abstract thought, creativity, social appropriateness, and voluntary motor skills. Damage to this area in adults has been documented to cause major behavioral changes. Imagine what kinds of issues damage to this area in a young developing brain might lead to. I bring this up for 2 reasons. First, to spread this information to parents, grandparents, babysitters, etc., who may not know what these studies have found. And second, to come back to the topic of today's video. I am extremely curious to see what future research in this field will tell us when the generation of toddlers and young children who were exposed to these popular videos in the last few years are old enough to tell us. Well, here we are yet again at the end of a video. I hope you all enjoyed this topic, and I would love to hear what you have to say below. As always, please like and subscribe, share this video with anyone you think will enjoy it, and don't forget to send me your suggestions in the comments or by filling out the suggestion form below. Also, a poll for the topic of video 6 will be pinned in the comments and will remain open until 9/17/22. Please go vote so I know what you're most interested in. My socials, including my Patreon, are also linked below in my link tree. I hope you have an amazing day or night, and I will see you next time. Bye guys! And just remember, sometimes truth is stranger than fiction.